Actually, there we go. I think I've got it.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Okay, everyone, let's get started. It's 1 o'clock. Thank you for being here today for the info session on the Innovation Catalyst Grant Entrepreneurial Fellowship. All of you are engaging at an ideal time, and I look forward to getting to know you over the coming weeks and months. I see some familiar faces already as you develop your ventures and prepare your application forms. Please note, we are recording today's session to post to the website, and I will make the slide deck available after this call, as there are quite a few links to facilitate your access to information. We will have time at the end for questions, but feel free to speak up as I go through the material. I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement. The University of Alberta acknowledges that we are located on Treaty 6 territory and respects the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and the First Peoples of Canada, whose presence continues to enrich our vibrant community. To give you a bit of context, the ICG program sits within the Office of the Vice President International Innovation and Enterprise, led by David Bressler, and more specifically within the Innovation and Partnerships team led by David Chang. My name is Claire Kay. I am the Program Manager for ICG based at the University of Alberta. Connect with me on LinkedIn if you haven't already, and reach out to set up a meeting if you are planning to apply to ICG. I would also like to highlight Savannah Lane, the Startup and Ecosystem Manager, and encourage you to reach out to her as well for support as you develop your startup concept. And thank you to Victoria Selly, Program and Events Coordinator, who is co-hosting this call with me. So the ICG Fellowship is funded by the Alberta government and is delivered at the province's 3 research-intensive universities, U of A, U of C, and U of L. The program is designed to de-risk the early journey of deep tech founders emerging from academia and is specifically focused on hardware, given the longer timelines and larger investment required to achieve commercial success. Hardware is defined broadly, as in there is a physical product or service. So the program specifically excludes software startups. ICG, sorry? ICG is an investment action under the Alberta Technology and Innovation Strategy, and there are specific economic development goals. In short, the Alberta government wants to see job creation and revenue generation as the return on their investment in the ICG program. So I mention this just to reinforce that the program is about supporting venture building. For historical context, the ICG program is based on GreenSTEM, which was delivered in 2019 to 2020. You may recognize several companies such as Wyvern and Future Fields, which are both generating revenue and creating jobs from innovative products and services, and they have both received investment from the U of A Innovation Fund and other investors. So GreenSTEM was highly successful, and the ICG program is on track to create similar impact. Here at the U of A, we have a portfolio of 16 companies led by an ICG fellow. This is spread over 4 cohorts, and you will notice that the cohort size is not uniform. So we're not filling spots, but rather selecting founders and projects that align with the program mandate. As you can see, there are 3 fellows in the first cohort, 6 in the second, and 3 in the third. We're waiting on announcement by the GOA for cohort 4. They embargo that every year until they're ready to announce, and generally this is in May. And then we're funded for a 5th cohort. Hope to see you among those. About the award, ICG provides a 2-year, $250K runway to develop and commercialize products or services. Note that this is not an upfront award. It is paid via a stipend of $65K per year and seed funding of up to $120K on a reimbursement basis. This means that you do need to have some access to cash so that you can pay for expenses and submit for reimbursement. The award is a fellowship and therefore can be used to leverage grant funding from organizations such as Alberta Innovates, MyTax, NRC IRAP, and others. So I've mentioned this already, but it bears repeating. I italicized commercialize. This is about building a company to earn revenue from customers. So to be a strong applicant, you need to have some hypotheses and validation around who your customers will be, what problem you're solving for them, how you will deliver your product to them. So you may not have all these answers now, but you need to be working on that. Customer traction and acquisition informs your business model, your product development, and your credibility with funders and investment. In terms of eligibility criteria, this is quite specific and it's set forth on the website. So applicants need to be the lead innovator of a science-based technology with a hardware component. So what we mean is not necessarily that you are the lead inventor. This might have been your supervisor, but you will be the lead innovator in the new company. So we're not looking to support scenarios where the faculty member or someone else is the lead and is looking for salary support for a team member through ICG. So ICG is about supporting founders or a co-founder. You also need to be a recent grad when the fellowship begins in January. So recent is defined as the last 5 years. We can be a little bit accommodating if there are extenuating circumstances such as a maternity leave that makes it a bit beyond 5 years. No other academic enrollment or employment is permitted, as the fellowship is intended to enable the founder to focus full-time on the new venture. And you need to be a resident of Alberta with the legal right to work in Canada and be able to operate the venture in Alberta for at least 3 years after the conclusion of the fellowship. This is because the province's ROI, the return on investment, will be job creation and revenue generation. We want that here in the province. So for those of you that are international students or who do not yet have permanent residency, I'll address this later in the presentation. So the eligibility criteria for projects are, it needs to be STEM-based with a hardware component, and STEM is broadly defined, so that can include medicine. And there must be IP rights associated with the innovation, and I'll talk more about this in a slide coming up. Ideal projects fall into 4 main areas. These are health and disease prevention, energy, minerals and clean tech, agriculture, and emerging technologies. And projects will be assessed on their technology readiness level as well as their business readiness level. So generally speaking, the TRL is a familiar concept, and we expect projects to be at least 3 to 4, which is validation in a laboratory environment, and to advance to about 6 to 7 by the end of the program, so field testing or pilot studies. So we do not necessarily expect projects to advance beyond the pre-commercial stage in 2 years, given that it's hardware, but we do expect to see a clear plan for TRL development. And in our EOI, we're going to be introducing a business readiness level because customer acquisition, revenue generation, and long-term viability is the goal. So this will be added to the expression of interest form. So for business readiness, we want to see projects that have some validation of the market opportunity from potential customers. And over the 2-year project, we expect progress toward customer acquisition and viability. So enough traction to enable follow-on funding or other investment. There is a multi-step intake process for ICG. Expressions of interest will be accepted until September 1st, but the timelines in the fall are tight. So I encourage submission ahead of that deadline. Also, I can't emphasize it enough. Reach out to me early to get feedback and direction to ensure a strong EOI and proposal. Proposals will be invited and will be due September 30th. Following evaluation of the proposals, a smaller number of candidates will be invited for interviews, and these will be held in November, and decisions will be communicated in December. Fellowships will begin in January. Note that this is the final cohort. We will have limited ability to accommodate requests for later start dates, as the funding will need to be allocated by the project end date. So the application form is actually live, and I will put the link in the chat. If any of you have looked at the Government of Alberta site, you might have come across it already. And you can navigate from that main webpage. I wanted to mention the first step is to select the institution to which you are applying, as we manage that intake independently. You should apply to the U of A if you'll be building your venture in Edmonton. It's not mandatory that you're a graduate of a U of A degree program, but typically that is the case. If you live in Calgary or Lethbridge, you should contact the program manager there and apply to them, unless there is a compelling tie-in to the expertise or resources at the U of A. I'm imagining you're all maybe scrolling through the form, but if you are, you'll see that there's a section for mentors. We do want applicants to have a technical mentor based here at the U of A. Generally, this is a faculty member who can be a champion. It might have been your thesis supervisor or someone else that you have a relationship with, someone who can be a champion for you and your venture and can help facilitate access to specialized equipment or laboratories, as well as provide some mentorship to you on your technical development of your project. It's not mandatory, but ideally you would have a business mentor. You may have one already if you're participating in the engineering incubator or another program. So obviously, if you do, be sure to seek their consent to include them here. And also note at the proposal stage, letters of support from mentors are helpful in the evaluation process. In terms of proposal evaluation criteria, eligibility is confirmed at the EOI stage. Proposals are then invited and are graded on the team, the technology, and the work plan. The team is weighted 45% because the award is a fellowship. So we are investing in the individual who will take the technology to market. So questions that we ask, things like, do we see evidence that the applicant is building entrepreneurial capacity to lead a new venture? What kind of team have they built? Is there a co-founder? If so, what's their skill set? What's the skill set of the advisors and the other people around the applicant? The technology is also important. So we ask, is it disruptive? Will it enable a new product or service addressing an important problem in a large market? What is the competitive landscape and how does the technology, rank relative to that? How is it unique? Have steps been taken to secure IP rights? What resources are required to develop the technology, and is there a plan to do so? For the work plan, we want to see projects that align with ICG objectives and intended outcomes. So remember, revenue and jobs. We don't expect that by the end of ICG, but we don't want to see plans where they want to develop the technology. Those don't align very well. So we want to see plans that advance the venture towards viability. So how to prepare a strong application? Got a series of slides that have some tips on them. And the first is to grow your entrepreneurial capacity. There are tons of resources available to support entrepreneurship. So start on campus. There's our team, Innovation and Partnerships, as well as the Health Innovation Hub, eHub, the Engineering Incubator. There's programs that are specifically focused on market validation and customer discovery, including Lab to Market, Labs for Invention to Innovation, as well as Discover and Validate at Edmonton Unlimited. Additional resources, for example, the ATB Entrepreneur Center, the Business Link, and of course, Edmonton Unlimited. Great programs there. Apply to Sheboot if you're a woman founder. The deadline is April 30th. Learn about Front Row Ventures and check out the events hosted by Startup TNT. So the top 5 pitch event for the Spring Investment Summit is going to be held in late May. So keep an eye out for that. I encourage you to register and attend. And look at Futurepreneur to see if their loan programs will be helpful for you. Oh, just a sec. Okay. I'll advance with the arrow. Next, take steps to protect and secure your IP. Typically, this is from a patent perspective. So if your technology was developed while you were a student or employee at the U of A, the patent policy will apply and you will need to engage with the tech transfer team. So I've got their email there, tts@ualberta.ca, and reach out. They'll be happy to meet with you. In brief, the patent policy requires disclosure of any patentable inventions. So you and any co-inventors will need to submit a report of invention, and there's a link there. There are also ownership considerations. So you can choose to retain ownership. It's an inventor-owned policy here, or transfer the ownership to the university with the U of A taking on responsibility for the IP. The revenue sharing agreement is the same across both scenarios, a 2% royalty to the U of A on revenue over 1 million, or 10% equity to the U of A, fully and immediately dilutable. So for ICG, we expect that the report of invention has been submitted prior to submission of the expression of interest. And ideally, the spin-off agreement has been completed or that you're working towards that. But all of these matters need to be fully addressed before the start of the ICG fellowship. Separate from institutional obligations, you should become familiar with patenting considerations as a step toward IP strategy for your venture. So, for example, there are novelty requirements. You will want to make sure you have freedom to operate, as in your technology doesn't infringe on other patent holders' rights. You should understand the fees charged by patent offices and consider that legal counsel will be on top of that. And then, of course, you want to make sure that you're developing a business case for your new venture. So we're looking at this with somewhat of an investor lens. So we want to see technology risk mitigated in the lab, as mentioned, about at least TRL 3 to 4. We don't want to see red flags around access to IP. There should be a large market opportunity. And we want to see traction with industry, so some early customer validation. So this should be strong enough to get letters of support to include with your proposal if you're invited to submit one. And we encourage you to work through Scale Up Map. This was developed by a local founder, Kinza Mauji. And if you reach out to me or Savannah Lane, we can invite you into our innovation hub for Scale Up Map. And start working on your business model and register for Business Model 101 at Edmonton Unlimited. This is a 2-hour workshop, and it's a critical step towards building a business mindset. Okay, so it's important to recognize that your efforts as a founder will be directed towards customer acquisition and a path to revenue. So become familiar with concepts like ideal customer profile, beachhead market, customer acquisition, and apply them to your venture. So we don't want to see tech building plans and assumptions that, if 1% of the market will buy my product, the market is so big, 1% is going to be a success. So we want you to think about who are the buyers? What do they value? How do they reach them? Those kinds of issues. And a bit of advice, don't work in stealth mode. Reach out early to get direction and feedback. The September 1 EOI deadline is followed by a September 30th proposal deadline. So if you apply at the EOI deadline, you're going to end up with a small window for the proposal if you're invited. So let's be in touch. I've got my contact information here. There's also the information for my counterparts at Invate Calgary and University of Lethbridge, and links to the program information and the application form. Okay, for those of you that are international students, the ICG program is unfortunately not going to be helpful to your immigration pathway. The ICG fellowship is not employment, so the main work-based PR routes are not applicable. Unless you can be included in a spouse's PR application, if that applies, the only avenue that may be relevant is the AIP Graduate Entrepreneur Stream. Note that there are expenses associated with the evaluation reports and a requirement to demonstrate that the business is operating successfully. So this may not match your venture's timeline, and the expenses are not eligible for reimbursement through ICG. So it's risky, and it may be advisable to pursue employment to first secure your PR before embarking on full-time entrepreneurship. For those of you that have prior work experience as a postdoc here in Canada, the express entry category-based selection may be applicable. What I really want to emphasize is that this is a risk that you need to be aware of and mitigate. So the ICG program cannot support or enable immigration. For applicants who will be applying for a 3-year postgraduate work permit, you need to demonstrate that you will be positioned to operate in Alberta for at least 3 years post-ICG, so meaning positioned to secure your PR. Also note that there are financial limitations for individuals that don't have permanent residency, such as not being eligible for loans from Futurepreneur. Okay, this is the last slide to let you know that our team will be hosting an in-person lunch and learn on Tuesday, May 26th at the Engineering Incubator. If you are thinking about or have embarked upon an entrepreneurial journey, I encourage you to register and attend. This will be more of a networking event in Q&A format with some fellows who are in the program, and will also be an opportunity to connect with the Innovation and Partnerships team. So there's the registration link there. And I also want to mention that we have a Luma calendar for U of A innovation events. So this includes innovation or events hosted by the Engineering Incubator as well as our team. So that's it. And I'm happy to take your questions. I'm going to stop recording. And stop recording.